Wouldn't you? Been diabetic.
Oh, yeah,
fast
Oh,
diabetic.
we're getting into the
Full
Jack
strength.
Perkins interview here. Wait a sec. Type 1 diabetic. How's that?
Are you actually the fastest type 1 diabetic in the world?
No, because there's a guy in the Indy, Charlie Kimball, that's
Oh, is he?
type 1. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he'd be a bit quicker than me, but
220 mile
I'd be
an
the
hour
only
average.
I'd be the only Supercars race winner with type 1 diabetes.
Probably.
It's a pretty cool stat.
Yeah.
Probably also the only supercar driver with type 1
Type 1
diabetes.
diabetic.
Can't take that away from
Is
me.
it hard to manage, like, during the race? Like Bathurst would say, like, it's 6 hours, you're in and out of the car a lot, like, it must be challenging.
To be honest, Bathurst is easier than Adelaide 500 or Townsville or something, because those races, as you know, can be 2 to 2.5 hours, whereas Bathurst, the stint these days is about 45 minutes,
Yeah, I
and
suppose,
a double's only an hour and a half. So, look, it's not easy, but I've been able to manage it pretty well over the years. It's
Can you feel the difference in the car? Like, can you feel yourself sort of fading away? So you're like, oh, I'm probably low, I need to get some sugar?
Well, I've got 2 drink bottles in the car, so I've always got water, which is what you guys would always run, and then I've got a second one, which has got Gatorade or something in it. So if I do a double stint, or if it's a safety car, I'm always on the second drink bottle, just having a bit of a top up. But I haven't had any issues, and I've always, speaking of Stanaway pulling the pin, I've always had this in my mind that if I don't feel well, I've got to get out of the car, I've got to do it. And thankfully, touch wood, in what's it been now, 12 years, I've never had to pull in. So I've got a pretty good routine.
How did you sort of suss that something was up when you first got diagnosed?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a funny story because it was my first year racing DVS Supercars against Caruso, 2006. And like I was just getting into all the fitness training really hard. And I remember it was the Sandown 500 week because we raced Sandown, and then there was a DVS race, Mallala, in between Sandown and Bathurst. So training really hard and started losing a lot of weight. And I actually had a cold and then started to lose a lot of weight. And I didn't think much of it, just thought I was training. And I dropped to 60 kilos.
Jesus.
And I was getting up through the night for 2 or 3 P's.
Yeah.
Always thirsty. Like I'd whip into a servo and buy a can of Coke, a chocolate milk and a water and down them all before I got back to the car. You've never had thirst like it. And it got to the stage where my eyesight just started to get a little worse than normal, like extreme short-sightedness. I've always worn glasses, so I've always been short-sighted. So I went to the eye doctor and said, hey, mate, I've got Mallala in 3 days. Can you get us some new glasses?
Give me some new goggles.
And so I've told him all of this, and he goes, no, you don't need new glasses, mate. You got diabetes. I'm like, whatever, champ, just grab us some glasses. And, needless to say, that night I was in hospital. My blood glucose level was 36. So you're supposed to be between 4 and 6. So I was 36, and at 40 you're in a coma.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
So what had happened was the bad cells that gave me a cold or a flu, it's an autoimmune disease. You've got no control over it, no prediction. The cells just turned on an organ in my body, which is the pancreas, and just shut it down, which creates insulin when you eat food and drink drinks and things. And that's what the injections are for. And then so that all happened pretty quick, and I was in hospital sort of feeling a bit sorry for myself, and a doctor walked in and he sort of recognised my old man. And he said, you can't race cars with this. And he pulled out this CAMS document that looked like it was from about 1935, and it said, you can't race. And I said, no, that's pretty disappointing. Sat in
That would have
hospital.
sucked right there.
Yeah,
that would have been pretty low.
It was, and I sat in hospital for a bit and feeling pretty down, and I remember I thought, well, bugger this, if I don't tell anyone I got it, Craig Lowndes might have it. Or, so...
Mark Scaife.
So I grabbed a notepad and started pricking my finger every 5 to 10 minutes and working out what was doing what and how the bloods worked, and sort of worked it out preparing a race car. And a day later I checked out of hospital and went and raced Mallala, and for about 18 months just pressed on and didn't tell anyone. For my CAMS license in 2007, I failed the urine test, and I went back and saw another doctor with someone else's urine in my pocket and got my CAMS medical.
Wow.
And now you might notice we all have to do blood tests. So
Yeah. I was going to say...
thank me for that.
I was going to say that's a
asshole.
big part of it, isn't it? Now that they've changed their whole... To get your international license, you have to go through... ECG, stress ECG,
The blood test.
test.
Yeah, and that's a big one, is the glucose check on that. Yeah.
So that
when
because of you. So I have to draw blood every year just because of you.
I think it's a fair contribution.
Should call the Perkins rule, I reckon. That's,
like the Larry bar.
Similar. But yeah, so then when I did got thrust into racing main game, which I didn't really want to be doing straight away.
Is
And
that the Jack Daniels car?
yeah.
With Shane
Like,
Price?
yeah.
I remember that.
And we didn't go very good. I mean, qualified
No, you
well.
went all right a couple of times. Winton,
Yeah.
like you're in the top 10. I think
Winton,
you
top
qualified
10,
8th or
yeah.
7th.
Yeah, there's some flashes of brilliance there, but on the whole, it was pretty
For
tough.
rookies,
And then
it was good.
I was living this big life of privacy where I was, having 5 injections a day, and no
Not
one in the
telling
team
anyone.
really knew about it.
They just thought you were a junkie.
Yeah, it was just tough because you wouldn't do an injection in front of someone that didn't know. So
Yeah.
you'd sit down and have dinner with someone and go to the toilet twice or whatever, and that was too hard. So I come public, went to get my CAMS license next year. Instead of ticking the box that said no, I didn't have diabetes, I ticked yes, and then they said, oh, you probably can't race. I said, well, I've just proven that I can. Here's how, why, and after sort of 4 or 5 weeks of rebuttal from CAMS, I sort of put them in a corner where they couldn't really move. And
Did you get a lawyer involved?
no, not at all. Just put facts on the table, and it's pretty
yeah.
hard to argue. And I got good medical reasons. My endocrinologist, the specialist, obviously back up what I was doing. I wasn't at risk, but it's not just me at risk. It's racing against you blokes. If
Yeah,
I'm up
yeah.
your backside and I pass out because I'm having a sugar low and crash into you, well, it's not really the right thing to be doing. So I'm pretty proud of what I've been able to do, but it's not easy, and it's not something I take lightly. I always make sure I'm in good nick before I get in the car.
I'd say the mental side would probably be just as hard as the physical strain as well. I mean, your body going through those ups and downs, but the mental side must have really been playing the whole time, particularly in that period when you might have thought that you might not be able to compete again.
Yeah, and that's hard when you jump into your first year of what you want to be doing, like DVS, and go and getting some results and thinking, what, I could actually make a living out of this.
Yeah.
Or I could do some things and get some results. And then when someone says you can't do it, your dreams just get crushed by a guillotine. It's sort of, well, that's actually pretty hard to take.
Yeah, it would be.
And that's
It's
why
terrible.
and I don't really take no for an answer. People that know me know I'm pretty determined, just go about my business and sort of get along with it.
I would have said stubborn.
Yeah.